Welcome to the premiere of ATV SportsReport, your #1 source for news and analysis on Albany athletics. I'm one of your hosts, JB Buno.
I'm Adam Manson.
And I'm Joe Rapolo.
So I'd love to start out the premiere by going right into Albany sports. There's men's basketball, women's basketball, women's indoor tennis we're actually going to do some reporting on, and Big Purple Growls coming up. I'd love to talk about that. It's one of the biggest events of the year. But we're going to have to start with professional sports. You know, the biggest event of the year, in professional sports-wise, was a couple of days ago, and that's the Super Bowl. Doesn't get bigger than the Super Bowl, right?
Not at all.
Not at all, Joe.
No, it's a huge event. I'm sure a lot of people watching right now definitely enjoyed the Super Bowl. But Adam, what do you think of the Super Bowl?
JB, I was really disappointed. I was rooting
Yeah.
for the Cardinals hard. I'm a big Kurt Warner fan. I always have been. Ever since his days with the Rams, I've always followed this guy. I feel like he's everything right about sports. Before the game, was nominated for NFL Man of the Year, donated $1.5 million out of his own pocket to charity. I really wanted this guy to win. I really feel it would have fit the Cinderella story.
Oh yeah, he's a classic. You know, he reminds me a little bit of. I'm sorry, I'm a big Yankee fan. Andy Pettit. You know, he's very. You know, he's religious. He's very conservative. Loves to talk about God. Or hear him on camera. Loves to talk about God. But all right, that's acceptable. That's 100% cool. And but Kurt Warner is definitely a class act, and it does stink because it would have been nice to see him win. Him and Larry Fitzgerald are a dynamic duo there in Arizona. What do you think of the first half, Joe?
You know, as much of a class act as Kurt Warner is, you can't deny the big game play of Ben Roethlisberger. You know, he was down 3 points with 2.5 minutes to go. He marched his team down the field, didn't think twice about it, and brought them their second ring in a few years.
Yeah, but let's talk about early on for a second, because it seemed like in the beginning there was a little bit of jitters, right? But both teams came out hard.
Well, it's impossible not to have jitters in the first couple of minutes of the Super Bowl, but Big Ben actually mentioned earlier in the week how much more nervous he was his first trip to the Super Bowl than he was in this game, and you can definitely tell on that opening drive he was thinking about nothing but getting in that end zone.
Oh, yeah.
He came really close, just a few inches short, reminiscent of the last time they were in the Super Bowl when I believe the call was blown when he was actually not in the end zone and they gave him the 6 points anyway.
Right. No, but let's talk about the play at the end of the first half. That was a huge momentum swing for Pittsburgh. That interception return. That wasn't even as much Kurt Warner's fault. It was such a bing bang play. It was just a great heads up play by James Harrison. You want to walk us through it?
Yeah, JB. The play was for Anquan Bolden to pick the receivers, pick the D-backs, so Fitzgerald can step in. However, James Harrison recognized it in the Steelers' defense, picked it off right there. JB, I feel that was the biggest game of the play. Because, the Cardinals could have gone into the half with the lead, and it changed everything around. I really think that was the key play that really changed this game.
Yeah, huge momentum swing. I mean, James Harrison picks off that pass, and he goes, I think it was the longest.
100 yards.
Yeah, the longest in Super Bowl history in terms of defensive TD, or was it overall, or was it just
longest play in Super Bowl
JB,
history?
incredible?
JB, I couldn't figure out how the Cardinals receivers couldn't catch him.
Yeah.
That's a defensive lineman running down the field down there.
Yeah, Larry Fitzgerald was there at the goal line trying to make the tackle to save it, because had Fitzgerald made the tackle at the 1 yard line, there was no time left in the second quarter. That would have been it. That would have been so huge play by James Harrison to take it all the way and actually being conscious of the clock. So let's talk about the second half. Third quarter seemed like a defensive battle, huh?
Yeah, JB, I definitely would agree with that.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. What struggled in the third quarter, I really thought the Cardinals really blew a chance there.
Yeah.
If they could have came back in the third quarter and had something big.
Regain the momentum.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, I really think they could have. That was their chance. I feel like, besides the fourth quarter.
Right. So in the fourth quarter, Larry Fitzgerald had that huge play from Kurt Warner. It wasn't that long of a pass. Maybe it was 15 yards or so, and Larry Fitzgerald just took off. I think it was 64 yards that gave Arizona the lead. I mean, that was big.
Yeah, JB, I thought, though, not a lot of people are mentioning this, I thought he should have stopped a little bit maybe on the 1 yard line, like similar to what Brian Westbrook did.
That's right.
Against the Cowboys, decided to seal the deal with the clock. I really think that was a mistake that not a lot of people are talking about.
Wow, that may have been a really smart strategic play had Larry Fitzgerald, kept his, head in the game. But I think he was just so excited in scoring the touchdown, But what happened in the last drive with the Steelers, Joe? That big comeback drive in the final 2 minutes.
The final drive was all about Big Ben just taking control of his team. He had scrambling in the pocket is what Big Ben does best. He avoids tackles, uses his legs to give his receivers some time to open up, and he did just that. He gave Santonio Holmes all the time in the world that he needed. Holmes, of course, had 4 catches on that final drive, and the game-winning touchdown.
Yeah, let's talk about the game-winning touchdown. I mean, at first, I wasn't 100% sure if he got both feet down, but the replay showed it. He got both feet down, and I don't think that there was any person on the face of the planet that was more happy at that moment than Santonio Holmes.
No, he definitely got both feet down, and there was no question about
absolutely.
that. You couldn't. It was almost unbelievable to watch live the first time you saw it. I don't think there was a soul in the house that thought that he could have actually gotten both feet down because it was such an incredible catch. But all the power in the world to him that he was able to pull it off.
Incredible. Santonio Holmes was your Super Bowl MVP. Really, really huge day for him, especially that fourth quarter. I mean, it almost as if he and Big Ben were just in a different zone.
Yeah, did any of you guys see the reaction on Larry Fitzgerald from the camera when he's saying, "Oh no, oh no"?
He was
heartbroken. Yeah, it really crushed him. I bring Fitzgerald up. What a player, and I think he's the best receiver in the game now.
Yeah,
I think he showed it.
Larry Fitzgerald had probably the most dominant postseason in the history of the NFL when it comes to a wide receiver. He broke Jerry Rice's record of touchdowns in a single postseason, and it's just you have to feel bad for the guy because he's classy like Kurt Warner is, and he just fell short.
I'm not sure.
By giving it 100%.
I'm not sure if you guys heard after the game. He said he would take less money so Anquan Bolden could stay.
Yeah, because keeping that duo together really gives headaches to defensive coordinators in terms of trying to cover both Larry Fitzgerald and Anquan Bolden. So in the end, Pittsburgh, your Super Bowl champions, they win 27-23. Kudos to Santonio Holmes, the Super Bowl MVP, Ben Roethlisberger for leading that great drive, Mike Tomlin, and everybody in the Steelers organization. Great win. Let's switch it around now. Let's go to Albany sports. Men's basketball team have won 2 straight. They played Stony Brook 3 games ago, and Stony Brook is a team that Will Brown will tell you they should have beat, and they didn't. And Will Brown was quoted after the game. He said it was the most embarrassing loss he's been part of in the past 2 years that he's been there. He's had a couple of losses, but this one was really bad. They were playing at home, and they just weren't in the game. So they had to respond against UMBC. Darryl Proctor, the #1 scorer in the America East Conference. Let's go right to the highlights. The University of Maryland, Baltimore County, the Retrievers came to Sefco Arena to take on the Great Danes in an America East showdown. First half, let's get it started. Will Harris nails the 3 from beyond the arc. More on him in a bit. A couple possessions later, Tim Ambrose hits the 3, and why not? Brian Connolly's going to line this one up from beyond the arc. He hits his first 3-point field goal of the season. A little later on, Jarrell Hastings came in, provided a lift off the bench. He puts this one in, and the foul, the free throw, put Albany up by 1 early. But UMBC did not go away. This floater by point guard Jay Green puts them up by 5, but towards the end of the first half, Albany's able to rally. Will Harris was behind the back to find Brian Connolly, who can't put it in, but Tim Ambrose does. He had 17 points in the first half. Albany up 44-36 at the break. Second half, let's talk about Will Harris for a second. In the past 2 games, he's hit 9 of 16 3-point field goals from beyond the arc. That's 56% from distance. There he gets that one, but UMBC likewise did not go away. This bucket doesn't go for them, but Chauncey Gilliam led UMBC with 18 points there with the athletic putback. But Albany was able to close this one out. Anthony Rafa hits the 3. He had 8 points, all of his 8 points coming in the second half. But today's story was Tim Ambrose. He had 26 points, 71% from the field, 6 rebounds, add a couple of steals. Led by Tim Ambrose, the Great Danes were able to defeat UMBC 80-71. Now let's go to the SR postgame. Welcome to the postgame. I'm JB Buno, and I'm here with Adam Manson and Joe Rapolo. We're here. UAlbany defeated University of Maryland at Baltimore County. UMBC 80-71 was the final. Very exciting game. Adam Manson, what did you like in the first half?
Well, in the first half, Joe, I liked the strong performance of Tim Ambrose. He scored 17 points and set the tone for the whole game. However, what I did not like about UAlbany, there was a poor transition defense. UMBC was easily able to get inside, took control of rebounds, had inside points all whole first half.
Yeah, it definitely was a battle underneath the basket to begin the game, especially in the first 10 minutes or so. Joe, what did you see in the first half that really caught your eye?
You guys made a great point about the transition points. That was how Albany started off the game, a little bit slow, taking their time getting up the court. Once they realized they were getting beat by those transition points, they decided to flip it on UMBC. Tim Ambrose scored the first transition points of the game for the Danes, and after that was when Albany really took control in the first half.
Yeah, Tim Ambrose was definitely a focus for Will Brown's squad in the first half. He had 17 in the first period of play, but personally, I really thought that the reserves came in and were a really big part of the game for the first half to keep Albany, with a comfortable lead. Guys like Billy Allen, Drell Hastings, Mike Johnson really came in the first half. Anthony Raffa was a little bit struggling early on to start the game, so Mike Johnson really came in, gave him a lift. Same with Jimmy Covington. He provided some big minutes for them. And after the first, it was 44-36. Albany with a very comfortable lead going into the locker room. But hey, they don't put the halftime score in the papers. Adam Anson, what did you see in the second half that really caught your eye?
Well, Joe, for the second half, I really liked the performance of Chauncey Gilliam. He really came alive after UMBC was struggling to start the second half. They were down by 10 to begin with, and then cut it down to 2 and even took the lead.
Chauncey Gilliam, the freshman guard for UMBC, definitely came alive in the second period. Joe, what did you see in the second period that you liked?
Unfortunately for UMBC, Chauncey Gilliam came alive, but it seemed the rest of the team kind of fell asleep. UMBC only with 3 players on their bench, only ran with 6 players this evening. As everybody knows, Coach Monroe is a very animated coach, one of the most in the America East Conference. But you can't expect that type of fire from your players when you're playing an entire game with six men on that court out there.
Yeah, that's an absolutely excellent point. The fact that they only had 1 bench player. 6 players between the entire squad compared to 9 for Albany played the entire 40 minutes. So it was really big.
Also, JB, towards the end of that half there, when you're playing in a conference like the America East, all of these games are going to be competitive. So these games are going to come down to free throws at the end of the game. Albany really hit their free throws late in the game. Tim Ambrose hit 5 of 6 to go along with his 26 points. Will Harris and Brian Connolly added 3 more, and that was really the game changer towards down the stretch.
Adam, what did you see in the final few minutes that really caught your eye?
Well, I just noticed, Joe, UMBC was just playing poor defense towards the end. I was really disappointed in Darryl Proctor, who's the leading scorer in this conference. He averages 28.8 points per game, and he couldn't match up with Tim Ambrose at all.
Yeah, no, it was definitely big. For me, I really thought that Will Harris was the energizer today for Albany. He was recovering from the flu. They played Stony Brook on Friday night, a very embarrassing loss. Will Brown, coach of the Great Danes, said it was the most embarrassing loss he's been part of in about 2 years with the Great Danes squad. And I really think that Will Harris, heard Will Brown's message and definitely delivered today. Will Harris, he finished with 20 points. He went 5 for 8 from distance. But the best thing about Will Harris is his energy. He loves to play the game, and we spoke to him after the game to basically reaffirm what we thought. Let's take a listen.
I mean, the game is fun, so I just want to have fun with it. And as long as I'm doing things to help us get W's, then I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna be happy.
How much more fun is it though when you're playing as well as you are and you're really stroking it from beyond the arc?
I mean, it's a lot of fun. But the game is always fun for me. So I'm just gonna keep on being aggressive and trying to help us win.
Will Harris is certainly a very fun player to watch, whether you're on the Albany bench or whether you're in the crowd. He's just an energizer. He's a lot of fun to watch. He definitely gives everyone in the crowd a good show day in and day out. But let's talk about some other players. Who is your player that you really think led Albany to a victory today?
Joe, like I've said before, Tim Ambrose is the leader of this team, and he came to play today. Averaging 12.1 points per game going into this. He had a season high of 26 today. I really thought he stood up to probably some people think the best player in the conference, Darryl Proctor of UMBC.
Joe, who did you like in today's game for Albany?
I got to go back to Will Harris. The fire that he brings to this team is really uplifting for the Danes. 5 for 8 from the 3-point line, 20 points altogether. He's a great player. A lot of fun to watch.
offense is definitely big. I really like the effort, the collective effort today from Brian Connolly and Billy Allen, stopping Darryl Proctor, like Adam noted, who is the America East leader in points per game. Collectively, Billy Allen and Brian Connolly were able to limit Proctor to only 15 points today, which is definitely something that's going to make Will Brown smile later on tonight. But overall, it was a great victory today for the Great Danes. Once again, they win 80-71. I'm JB Buno. I'm here with Adam Manson and Joe Ruprolo. Let's head back to the studio.
So after the embarrassing loss at home to the Seawolves of Stony Brook, UAlbany, Will Brown and company, they defeat UMBC at CEF2 Arena. So that was a really big momentum swing for them, right, Adam Manson? I mean, they lose to Stony Brook in this embarrassing loss that Will Brown just couldn't stand, and then they defeat UMBC.
You're right, JB. And their schedule doesn't get any easier from here. It'll definitely serve as a confidence boost for down the road.
Yeah, absolutely.
The UMBC game went right into UAlbany against Hartford, and we'll have clips of that game in a minute for you. But this 10 days off between the Hartford game and Big Purple Growl is really important to this team. Anthony Raffa suffering from turf toe and got a pulled groin. Will Harris is just getting over the flu, so this break is going to be just like the Great
they'll
Danes
they'll be able to rest up, and that's big. But you mentioned the Hartford game, you can't forget about that. So we get highlights of the Hartford game. Let's take a look.
The Great Danes taking on a Hartford Hawks team that is at the bottom of the America East Conference standings, despite beating UAlbany on January 3rd. First half, let's get right into it. Will Harris picks up where he left off in the UMBC game. He drains this three, UAlbany down 3 early on in the first half. But watch here, great interior defense by the Danes. Brian Connolly gets the rebound. He gives it to Anthony Raffa, who goes coast to coast for the bucket. Danes down 1. Morgan Sabia carried the Hawks on this day. 3 of his first half, 13 points here. He was huge for Hartford. On this Danes possession, shot clock winding down, Will Harris lines up this NBA 3. He's got it to go as the shot clock buzzer expires. That ties it up. But watch here, final possession of the first half. Billy Allen and Jimmy Covington double-team the red-hot Morgan Sabia. That leaves Michael Turner open for 3. He gets it as the halftime buzzer sounds. Last plays Hartford up 26-25 at the break. Second half, though, was all UA. Tim Ambrose can't get this one to go. Mike Johnson gets the rebound. He gets it plus the foul. Huge day for Mike Johnson as the Danes gain the momentum. But here we see Jarrell Hastings going strong, but watch the UAlbany bench. Keep an eye on Brett Gifford, the big man. He gets really pumped up for his teammate Jarrell Hastings as he gets it to go plus the foul. Gifford's pumped up. More on him in a minute. Here we see great defense by Jimmy Covington. That starts the fast break. Mike Johnson's going to bring it all the way down. He finds Jarrell Hastings, who puts it in with the jam. UAlbany rolling. Watch here as Mike Johnson finds Mr. Covington on the interior. He gets it to go. UAlbany just crushed Hartford in the second half. They go on to win 59-50. Coach Brown after the game talked about his big man, Brett Gifford.
Coach, what about Gifford? He only played the first 10 minutes of the game.
I gave him the game ball. He played the first minute, took him out, never played again. He was the biggest cheerleader in the building. The referee had to tell him twice to sit down, and they told me, Coach, if you don't sit the big fella down, I have to tee him up. And literally, we brought the game ball upstairs. I threw it to him, and I said, you were the MVP of this game tonight because you were the biggest cheerleader and the biggest fan, and you could have been very selfish because you played 1 minute, and I was really proud of him. He did a great job making sure that our bench had energy, and he was into the game. He was great. He really was.
Thank you. Welcome to the post game. I'm JD Buno. I'm here with Ashley Latimer. We just witnessed our Great Danes defeat the University at Hartford Hawks 59-50. It was really a great event. UAlbany's now won back-to-back games, and the first 5-6 minutes of the first half were really the most exciting.
Yes, definitely were the most exciting minutes of the half. Will Harris is actually the show of that, having 33 points in the first 6 minutes and 11 within the first 7. He was the one that basically started all for UAlbany.
Yeah, he definitely was able to get them on the right track. I mean, he he was scoring buckets just left and right in the first half. In fact, I think looking over the stat sheet, all the half-court points were scored by Will Harris. The rest of the points came in transition. So definitely, he's really been helping out in the half-court offense for the Albany Great Danes. Hartford's Morgan Savior was really able to counter Will Harris in the first half. He was able to mix up an inside-outside game, basically scoring inside points, outside points. He was able to nail a three. He was able to grab big rebounds. So he really gave them a huge lift in the first half. But despite that, University at Albany was down 1 point at halftime, 26-25. Why do you think Albany tends to struggle in the first half so much?
Primarily because I think they are a second half team. I think they feed off the words of Coach Brown in the locker room in order to get motivated, in order to pick up the game for the second half. Anthony Raffa actually is a second half player as well. He wasn't alive really in the first half. He had a few good points, but in the second half he really came out, hit a big three. And we actually spoke to him a few minutes ago, and I asked him, what's going on? And he said, yeah, I'm injured. I go, okay, well, what's your injuries? He goes, I have turf toe, pulled groin, and a sprained ankle. Even with all that, you definitely don't see it on the court with his work ethic and his hustle.
Yeah, he hustles more than any player that Albany men's basketball has seen in some time. He's just going nonstop. And it doesn't matter if he's diving on the ground for a loose ball, if he needs to hit that big three, or if he's diving all over the scorer's board, he'll do whatever it takes to make sure that Albany comes out with a W. In the second half, he was able to provide a spark, but I think it was really the defense that really helped out.
Oh yeah, it definitely was the defense. They definitely picked it up in the second half more than they were in the first half. They were in the first half slow to get back on transition to defense, and they turned a complete 180 in the second half.
Yeah, definitely showing some more intensity on the defensive end of the ball. Was really a reason, especially down the stretch in the final 8 minutes or so, limiting Hartford to basically no offense. They really couldn't get a rhythm going. And the University of Albany was able to pull out this win. Definitely a big kudos to Mike Johnson, though, who's a really big energizer off the bench for them today. Definitely came off the bench, and like you said, Anthony Raffa injured with multiple injuries that we just talked to him a minute ago, and Mike Johnson was really able to step in, and the defensive intensity was there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So it was definitely an excellent second half, an excellent final 7 or 8 minutes for Albany. Able to sink their free throws to put this thing away and get some revenge for losing at Hartford earlier in the year. So it was definitely a great game. And what do we got next week?
We have the big Purple Growl coming up. UA playing Vermont.
That's right.
Stay tuned for that.
That's going to be on ATV. It's going to be a part of Sports Report, so definitely keep an eye out for that. And but as for today, Albany is able to defeat Hartford 59-50. Back to the studio. So the Great Danes, they defeat UMBC first, then they defeat Hartford, and one thing we got to mention about Hartford is that they're in last place right now in the America East Conference. It's a rebuilding year for them, and it's important for the Great Danes to capitalize on teams that are at the bottom of the America East right now. So that's really big for them. But let's guys, we got to talk about Will Harris. Guys, he's in a different world right now. He's basically carrying this team. I mean, he had, how many points did he have against UMBC?
20 points for Will Harris against UMBC.
And then against Hartford?
Against Hartford, he had 19 points.
Right, so let's talk about Adam. What's his deal right now? He's just on fire.
JB couldn't have said it any better. He's definitely on fire. Back-to-back games of double digits. Being a transfer is not always the easiest thing, JB. It's hard to adjust to a new environment and everything. That adjustment period is clearly over right now. I clearly expect Will Harris to be the best player on this team next year. I really think that highly of him, Joe.
Yeah, hey, Virginia's loss is our game, so thank you, Virginia. He's been awesome for us. But keep in mind, the past 2 games, he's been fighting over the last few bits of the flu. So how big has he been?
Well, that's what impressed me the most is the fact that this guy can play sick and still bring the same fire that he brings every game. To be able to perform at the level that he has been, knowing that he's not at 100%, has been really impressive.
Yeah, so incredible performances from Will Harris. He's going to need another performance if they expect to beat Vermont and Big Purple Growl, but we'll get more into that in a little bit. As for now, let's go right into it. We're going to go into Away Today. Away Today is our segment that's going to focus on sports teams that UAlbany sports teams that are currently away from home, basically battling out at other universities. So let's start with women's tennis. Women's tennis actually played Fairfield first last week, and they were able to defeat Fairfield in Fairfield, Connecticut, 5-1. And then after that, they actually played at home. I know it's a little weird in the segment, but they actually played against Long Island University, and they won that 6-1. Kim Weltman, really big. She's winning singles matches right now, doubles matches. So really big for Kim Weltman. Keep it up. You're really just playing excellent right now. But let's talk about women's basketball. I mean, right now they're not playing their best hoops. They lost to Hartford in Hartford, 73-47. Right now they're not playing their best basketball. Hopefully in the future they can turn it around. Maybe after some recruits next year. But the loss in Hartford was pretty bad. I mean, they were outscored 47-27 in the second half. So hopefully they do much better on in the years to come. So, but right now we're actually going to talk about something else in terms of UAlbany sports. We have an intramural package for you from last semester. So I'll talk a little bit more about intramurals in a second. But first, let's go right to the clips. We got it right here for you.
Late last year, we saw the Fall 2008 Intramural Championships. Students love their intramural sports. Everyday students get to engage in the fun and competitiveness of organized sports at UAlbany. Here in the dodgeball highlights, we see Team Toasted, led by James Henn, able to emerge victorious as they claim the dodgeball intramural championship. In the flag football championship, here we see the nice pass from the quarterback to the wide receiver, who does some dance moves as he goes out of bounds. And close to the end zone here, we see the touchdown pass. La Resistance was able to win this one. Here we see the quarterback. He's going to take it all the way to the house himself. Like I said, La Resistance, led by Jared Einhorn, is able to win the flag football intramural championship. In the basketball intramural championship, here we see the silky smooth jump shot. And on the break, we're going to see the layup. Team Ballers was able to win this one. Here we see the guard take it in strong. He goes to the hoop, he gets it to go. And who said that dunking was just for professional sports? Here we see it in intramurals, as Team Ballers, led by Lemuel Bradley, is able to win the basketball intramural championship. In soccer, there you see the lone goal scored. Team Jinga won 1-0, led by Diego Velasquez. They are the soccer intramural champions. And last but not least, in softball, Team Cup of Dirt won it all, and I spoke to the captain after the game. Intramurals are certainly a blast. I've played them many semesters in the past. If you haven't played intramurals, they're certainly a lot of fun. But I want to give a shout out to Amanda Garazdi, the athletics director in Student Association. She's the one who organizes intramural sports for students on campus. And intramural sports have come such a long way. I mean, they're so much more organized now. They have many sports. They have trophies. You just saw some of the trophies in the clips you just saw. And so big shout out to Amanda Garazdi. Keep it up. You do an excellent job. Intramural sports are better than ever. And speaking of better than ever, they should be better than ever in the spring, right?
That's right. Sign-ups are coming up, JB. It's February 9th through the 13th. You can go and sign up at the Students Association office, or you can sign up online. You can sign up as a free agent if you'd like, or you can even bring your own team.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to sign up a team this semester, play some softball, and kick your guys' you know what. But
We'll see about that, JB. I wouldn't count on you doing anything.
all right, so let's end it on a high note. Big Purple Growls coming up. Women's basketball, men's basketball. The women's basketball team is going to be playing Binghamton, but the story is, of course, men's basketball. They're playing the America East leading Vermont. Vermont's a tough team, Adam.
Vermont is definitely a tough team. They have 3 guys in double-figure scoring. Mike Trimboli with 15 a game, Marcus Blakely with another 15 a game, and Colin McIntosh with 13 a game. If Vermont gets inside, Joe, it's going to be spelling trouble for you Albany all day.
Yep, so Big Purple Growl, for those who don't know, is packed the house. People go absolutely crazy, face paint. They line up early for tickets in the freezing cold. It's one of the biggest events next to Fountain Day, one of the biggest events at Albany of the year. So be sure to check it out and get your tickets. But we got to wrap it up for this episode. From the Sports Report team, I'm JB Buno. Thank you for tuning in to ATV Sports Report. Have a good one.